To be honest with you, I honestly hate having to talk about these sorts of issues. I hate that they even happen this long into our reselling adventure of life, I guess you'd say. But man, we have been flooded, inundated with all sorts of issues. Once again, the elephant in the room is eBay and not any of the other sites. And I honestly, sincerely hate talking about them. There's so many other things I could be talking about or doing. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to address many of the issues going on with eBay right now. So many so that I actually took notes, which I almost never do. It's always stuff that's on the top of my head, but there's just so many things going on with issues, and not just glitch issues and things like that, but policy violations. Let's just get the policy violations out of the way first. Now, I did 2 different videos on items they were taking down on us. And before I could even get the first one up, you know, I did that one, I was going to put that one up. Before I could even get the first one up, they hit us with something else. So again, I was going to do another video, and it just started to happen, and it was just like left and right, there was a lot of stuff being pulled, or stuff that we couldn't trust eBay with, that we had to pull down ourselves. Again, I don't trust eBay at all these days. I mean, the platform would be good if the people you could trust running it, you know, or the stuff the help desk does followed their own rules and things, but unfortunately, I hate to say it, it doesn't work that way. Before I dig into it though, I have to say this because again, I really hate making these sorts of videos. I always get attacked by somebody, usually multiples, saying I shouldn't be bashing eBay, and for all I know, it's eBay trying to, you know, go after us or something. But point being is, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't have a big building, a 2-story building, for my business that's mine. I wouldn't have a house and property, acreage, land, and all of that stuff if it wasn't for me being a reseller and eBay, to be specific. eBay started us in this journey for many years because there wasn't any competition when we first started. You could sell stuff for just crazy amounts of money. It was just unbelievably great. eBay was good to the sellers. They treated everybody with respect back in the day, 20 plus years ago. We've been on since like the year eBay was called eBay. So I still use eBay. I have no plans to dump it. I have to say though, with issues like we're going to talk about today, I've had to do things such as pull thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise off of eBay, or just not list them in general and send them to some other platform, or send them into other companies and have them auction them off at like a published auction or something like that. And unfortunately that draws, you know, people away from eBay. But you know, if I'm not going to be able to get the sales because I don't want to pay and, you know, auction off how much I want to give eBay for them to promote my items, you know, I can just sell them somewhere else. And unfortunately that's what most people seem to be doing these days. I don't know anybody who isn't on at least a couple of platforms these days, other than some folks that may be just starting out. You got to start somewhere. I was only on one site for years and years and years, and maybe a decade or more before we even branched out, you know, because eBay was it. eBay was the place to be. But now on to the topics. Let's just get the policy violations out of the way. We've been hit with policy violations or takedown requests on items saying, hey, we're pulling this down, it violates the policy, more in the last probably 6 months or so than I think we've done in, you know, the 25, 30 years before that of selling on platforms, and mostly eBay. One of the items was a cow bovine bone item. It was a tribal looking necklace and stuff, something that we've asked eBay about, something that we've already dealt with eBay with those issues before, where they told us we needed to put what type of bone. They told us to list it as cow bovine bone, and now they're telling us, well, that is not a species, so that's wrong. We're gonna ding you, you can't list it again. So it was done. They said I needed to add more detail to it. I'm not gonna mess with it. This is like the 3rd or 4th time they've screwed around with us with bone items, even though they're the ones who told us how to list it. So again, I don't list any of that on eBay anymore. It does okay on Etsy and places like that too. So why would I want to bring it back once they've already, you know, jerked me around for some time now? I've even talked to federal agents about some of the stuff we sell in the past, because I do go to militaria and gun shows sometimes, because some of the gun shows have militaria and collectibles and paper there, believe it or not. So those are places that I still actually go. And there's, ATF agents and all sorts of things there. And I know what's legal to sell. I know what I can sell without getting into trouble with any law enforcement that I've ever talked to. So anyway, it doesn't matter what the rules are there. eBay has their own rules. It's their site. If they tell us not to list something, I never list that type of item again. And unfortunately, it's just left and right. One of the ones I was talking with one of our patrons about was nude RPPCs of cute infants, like a baby on a bearskin rug. Something that would be like a Norman Rockwell painting, you know, old time, you know, nothing meant to be perverse. They're taking that kind of stuff down. You know, yet they leave other items up like album covers that have very bad pornography on some of them. Even, you know, stuff that's not even qualified to be that, but anyway. Obviously, as I said, it's eBay site, so it's on them. That's what they say, that's what the rules are. I just go along. We sell stuff other places that we don't want to mess with eBay, like coins. I haven't listed coins on eBay since they told us to take them down, even though, again, they did allow them again. Once we found other places to put them, I was never going to trust eBay listing them. There's many other items that I won't trust eBay with anymore at all, even if they say it's allowed. Coins, again, perfect example. It's not worth it. If I've already spent 6 months of my time investing, putting them somewhere else, and I'm still doing okay there, why would I bring them back to eBay, who shut me down for 6 months until they could figure it all out? You know, that was just a terrible decision. So if you didn't know that, that's what happened a while ago. Now, those are just a few of the issues. We've been hit for transportation items, you know, steamship items, all sorts of different things that technically don't violate the policies, paper items. So I could go on. There's a bunch of other ones out there that people are getting dinged for. I get something new every other day where they've been dinged or had an item pulled down. You know, I've been threatened by eBay telling us they were going to suspend us over items that we were told after calling them the first time it happened were fine. So, you know, again, I don't trust eBay at all. So, you know, I still like the platform if they change management and change the way they treat the sellers on the platform. Even the buyers these days are complaining about how search engines are. Now, onto the glitches. These are the glitches that I'm still having. Now, if you've been around on eBay for a year or two, the I don't ship to your location issue had been going on a year or two ago. We still have seen it recently. So it's an intermittent issue apparently that eBay still can't fix. Who knows what the deal is? I've heard it, you know, here and there. We had it happen to us, and I have screenshots from many of my subscribers and from patrons who went and looked at my store and were told the very same thing and took screenshots of it. So I know it happened, you know. The other ones that we were getting is, I can't make an offer to you. We won't allow offers to your items, and they're on all my items. Every item I have has an item offer ability to it. So to say that, you know, I could be losing sales because of all of these issues here that I'm naming. So, you know, and I'm not saying eBay's doing any of this to get me. I just think they're clueless in a lot of the issues. They're inept on how they do things. They make terrible decisions on some of the stuff they're doing. The management, the platform, again, I wished it was back to the old days when it worked fine and we didn't have all these nitpicking issues with eBay and policy this. And the Vero program is all over the place too. I get Vero people telling me new Vero, new this, don't list that, don't list this. Velcro and onesies have been the ones that have been, you know, a nightmare for people for decades now at this point, because those were two of the very first ones that were on there. You can't use onesies or Velcro unless it's an actual full-fledged onesies brand or a Velcro stated brand. Just FYI if you didn't know that. There's a whole list of them. Look at the Vero page. When I first started, there wasn't a Vero page. Then once they started, it was a page, and 2, 3, 4, 5. I have no idea how many pages it is now. I don't list many new things or things that could be dinged in that way. But now a big one here, and one that I've heard from a lot of people now, it's must be started in the last 4 or 5 days, and this is something that's happened before, is your store items. When someone looks at your store, obviously the main page of your store doesn't show all your items. It says that you've got them all, but it only shows some of them, and that's everybody's store. That was a big change. The issue we're talking about here, the first time they switched my store over to that setup, I was missing items when someone searched in my store. So the items do not match what it says in your hub in some cases. Your hub may say you've got 10,000 items. Your storefront may only show 2,400 items or 5,000 items to your potential buyers. So half of your items weren't showing up. Now you could manually search them and pull the items up from some of the response that I've seen and some of the looks that I've personally done or searches that I've done. So to me, that was a major issue back in the day. I got into it with eBay over a year ago. It was fixed after a few weeks, I think. It was a long time, in my opinion, to not be showing items. You know, I'm paying a monthly fee. Back then, too, when that first happened, we were paying for the anchor store. But I've dropped it. It's not worth the extra couple $1,000s to try and talk to somebody at eBay anymore. And that's the only reason I dropped it, basically. If the customer service phone conversations we've had lately were better, I would have probably just kept it for the $300 a month just to have better phone service. But, you know, they've blown that. So anyway, the item number, though, has been hitting a lot of people. I've even now had, and I've reached out and asked if I could get a screenshot, so you may see an update with screenshots of a lot of this, but they were offered or given the way it was read that I read it. And I can't name names because I didn't hear back from them yet, but they were given a refund for their monthly store fee because the issue items with the amounts showing up, you know, missing listings in the store versus what they actually should have. For me, that's a major issue, and why for the last year and a half or longer, we check our item totals. So in the morning when I first get up, I check how many listings I have. Through the day, halfway point in the day, I'm checking how many listings do I have as well. In the evening before I go to bed, how many listings do I have? I write those numbers down or take a screenshot. Because many times if something is accepted or sold, I don't know if it's showing up anymore these days all the time. Again, because of the issues before with if I accept an offer, sometimes that offer will show it sold to me when I accept it, but it doesn't show up at all in a sold item list. It's like a limbo listing that I can't find on my end. Now, when eBay has been called on these issues, it shows up on eBay's end, but eBay couldn't figure it out, and they were told, you know, hey, we're going to add you to the list of stores that this is happening to. Now, to me, it sounds like somebody clicked a toggle switch for some sorts of listings, you know, a radio button somewhere in the scripting code or something, and it's not showing it intentionally for some various reason. That's what it sounds like to me. If you do Shopify or you have a third-party cross-listing app that auto-syncs in real time, that's the only way to do that. Don't do it any other way. You're going to know that you can turn off channels and things, and a lot of the features you see on eBay's page, I'm sure, are set up the same way. They can add features to the page, just like if you're going to customize some of the forms on eBay or some of the page layouts, like your items page in the hub. You can sit there and add things by clicking the little radio button, and it'll add it to the columns and all. It's the same principle with the back of the house or the coding aspect. I'm sure there's the same basic principle back there. So whether that's what it is or not, that seems to be the most logical sense to me. You know, I spent some time, I have an IT degree, and I had to write code for SQL and database, and, you know, I have a database design and construction degree, so it sounds like a logical thing to me. You know, I'm sure some of the other folks who've reached out to me in the past about IT stuff would agree, you know, so anyway. Now, another one that I've had was labels not printing correctly or not being able to print it at all. Now, sometimes if I go to print labels the night before, I've got something I've got to do. I've got an appointment, I'm doing a round, and I'm going to go pick up, haul items and stuff, or stuff from pickers. I'll do packing the night before, so the wife or whoever's here in the morning, all they have to do is, you know, run whatever else is left over. So if the wife, kids, or employees here, you know, going to do the rest of the shipping, they can just ship out what's left. It doesn't take them very long, and then get the listing or whatever else is set up for them that day. Sometimes it doesn't let me do that at night. It tells me to check back later, on and on. I've updated everything on my end. We update everything. I never let the browser sit. I update, you know, all the hardware, software, you know, security steps, everything, you know. So it's just what you got to do these days, and it still doesn't work. You know, I've talked to eBay before in the past, and no explanation, try back later. So at the end of the day, a lot of these issues could be affecting our sales, and it's not just hurting us, it hurts eBay. Most all of these sorts of major new issues and glitches that have happened in the last few years have come about since eBay has switched over to selling items to collecting revenue from us promoting the items. Biggest thing, though, is I look at the numbers. Do they have a better GMV, gross merchandise volume? Are they selling more items on eBay to make revenue, which is what they should be doing because they're a platform to sell things? Or have they increased profits through collecting fees from those selling on the platform? Those numbers have to jive, in my personal opinion, to show what's really going on with the platform. If they're just gaining more revenue from collecting fees from, say, promoted listings or advanced promoted listings, or you're promoted per click and things like that, or is it selling more items, being a better site, selling more items versus collecting more fees? That's the factor that's important. To me, it shows that they don't know what to do about the issues. They've caused most of the issues and they can't figure out how to fix them. But again, I don't wish any ill harm on eBay. These are just the facts of what seems to be going on the platform. You know, I wished that they would listen to people that sell on the platform and been on the platform years on what to do, but they'll never listen. We were in eBay Expressions for years. It never did any good. We've sat down, we've had video conferences with eBay long in the past. Never does any good. You know, we've talked to customer support, you know, maybe half a dozen times in the last year or so. None of that has done us any good. It's just wasted our time. We've been accused of it being our fault. We've been told there was nothing going on. We were told, I don't know how many different other things in the past for whatever the issue is. I was insulted the last time. I immediately cut the conversation short and said, this is it. I'd like to talk to a manager after she accused me of being an awful person, basically, as far as I'm concerned. Then she had to correct herself and said that's not what she meant. And, you know, even the customer service management that did actually call me back, you know, wasn't very polite, made some accusations himself, and it didn't make me feel very good. It is just offensive the way that it was handled, and it was all handled because of how they termed the takedown notice in that case in the email. Again, it was something they started, they instigated, but yet they tried to say it was me all to begin with. So again, not the case. You know, it's just sad. I never got a sorry. It's like maybe the third or fourth time in my life that I've ever had any company, corporation ever insult me that bad. You know, the other times, at least two of the other three or so times I got apologies, but this time, you know, nothing. But it's eBay. Why would I expect hey, we're sorry, we messed up? They were supposed to even look at the playback and have management listen to the conversation and stuff. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You know, I give up on calling eBay. I always say that, and I always give them one more chance, and that one more chance they always blow. The only time we're going to call eBay is if they're really screwing us with money or something, because the time and effort and the aggravation I waste on the phone with eBay these days in the last year plus hasn't been worth it ever. You know, again, I wish it wasn't this way. We still make a decent revenue stream on eBay. Obviously, it has lessened because we sell stuff on other sites. Like HIP, for example, we did more than $20,000, you know, in the lifetime. I've sold more than 1,000 items on HIP alone. And, you know, it brings $4,000 or $5,000 easily a year if I, you know, list more things. And things that I can't list on eBay, I can list there without having any issues, any problems, and never have a problem on that site. There's many other places we list that, you know, we don't ever hear anything. Even Amazon is so much better at how they treat the sellers these days. Amazon goes and bends over backwards as far as I'm concerned on how they fix things. You can watch a video these days if you violate the rules. We haven't luckily had any issues like that, but if there's a potential, they give you time to correct it. eBay, we're gonna sink it, ding. Next time you do it, suspension, ding. Next time another suspension, or we're gonna kick you off the platform. Amazon used to be the one I was always worried about, but Amazon these days, it's a breeze compared to what eBay's been changing and moving around and everything else like that. And again, it's their decision, their platform. I'm gonna just follow the rules. I'm not gonna stop selling on the platform. I wouldn't recommend people stop selling on the platform unless you're so offended or they've screwed you over, or whatever the case may be, to a point where you don't feel like doing it. The only thing I wished eBay would do, though, from all this, and to listen to people when they have these issues, when all these things are going on, is to do something about it. Take it seriously, because for us, we're not just a number in your system to us. But unfortunately, to eBay, it seems we're just like a number. This is seller number 444352, or whatever the case may be. But to us, to me, just like everybody else out there, this is part of my life. This is how I make my revenue. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I bought a freaking house. This is how I have a big building for my business only, with a studio space and everything else, is because of reselling. You know, I take it 100% serious. I treat it like I did when I was a regional manager for a national company. That's how I run my business. I'm dead straight serious about it. I'm passionate about what I do because this is my life and has been for decades. This is all we do. So for me, this is deadpan serious. To me, I take it, you know, like it's the lifeblood of my family, my life, and my business, which it is for the most part. So, you know, if they fixed the stuff, if they took it seriously, if they didn't just worry about, you know, lining the pockets of the shareholders and the investors and all that kind of stuff, and instead invested in the platform to fix it, to make it where it helps and you know, progresses and grows instead of selling less and less merchandise, everybody would be happy, including the investors. But you know, they're out for quick gains is the problem. They don't want to wait around to fix the issues. They want revenue coming in so that they can get, you know, money back from the profits of the shares and reinvestment and you know, stock splits or whatever else they can get out of the deal. As many of you know, eBay has sold off parts of the business that were valuable to revenue stream. So, you know, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can squeeze from those folks selling on the platform, especially for the amount of people that are dropping off selling, reselling, because they're not making enough to make it work for them. It can still work for people. Again, it works just fine for us. It works just fine for tons of other resellers we personally interact with. You know, so it's still a viable platform. But again, it's not for everybody these days. And unfortunately, a lot of the smaller resellers do seem to suffer from the issues that pretty much are caused by eBay. You know, it's bad decisions, poor programming, poor coding, poor rollouts for some of the new updates and things like that. Whenever they change something, there's always issues, there's always glitches. They were doing good for, you know, a year or two, probably a year and a half ago, but it's just started to pile back up again, unfortunately. But anyway, that's about it. You know, I'm not going to go on. It's not going to do much good either way you go. You can't trust them no matter what seems to happen anyway, but hopefully that gives you some thoughts, some ideas. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
Have you ever asked yourself this question? Why do postal clerks get indigestion?
There are many reasons. I won't bother to list them. It's all the stamp glue we take into our systems.
I guess that's as logical as a man could get. But that's not the reason for their stomach upset.
It's from trying to read the American hand, illegibly written throughout the land.
This letter will prove exactly what we've said. The name of the city simply can't be read. Oakdale.
Oakfield.
Oakhurst.
Oak Park.
Oakwood. Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa?
Tuscaloosa.
Now you see what we mean? If the writing's no good, this letter might as well be carved out of wood.